everybody, it's Aquila, and this is the Lefty Knitter Podcast, episode 161. Welcome to my channel where I talk about mostly knitting and all different crafts that we're getting into. I record through the week and then I mush it all together and I post it on Saturdays. I said it's episode 161. Yes, I did. Okay. Coming to you from Baltimore, Maryland, which very shortly is the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. Very excited. We have a friend flying in and that's going to be exciting. But yeah, I didn't post an episode last week. I felt like everything I was doing, well, I worked a lot on my sweater. Like, that's been like a big thing. I've worked a lot on my sweater. I might have it done for sheep and wool. Like, that would be cool. But no guarantees. But I was doing lots of other little stuff. And really, all last week, I was really dedicated to working on our little free library, which is now up and running. I ordered the charter plaque. I am now a steward of a little free library. And we even have an Instagram account for it. But yeah, so we did that. It's all fully finished. I will try to take, I have pictures I think I can insert here of it all. So, and then I've been working on lots of little stuff. So, and just crafting just on all different things, not always particularly related to knitting. So, yeah, that's where we are. But remember I was showing you guys the jelly roll race quilt that I was making for Hayes? Well, I finally busted that back out. And I will insert video here and I'll talk about it behind the video. So I had watched somebody on YouTube or Instagram, I'm not even sure, and they took, like, if you don't have a full piece of batting to go in between your layers, you can take pieces of batting and like puzzle piece them together and just use a zigzag stitch. So that is exactly what I did. I had extra batting from other projects that I have like made, and I didn't have like a full sheet to do like the whole quilt just as one piece. So I pieced it together and I zigzag stitched it and it worked out perfectly. I mean, it's going to be sandwiched and then quilted in between two layers of fabric. My other trick that I was telling you guys was I buy either used sheets from the thrift or I buy cheap sheets or discounted sheets at like TJ Maxx or something like that. Well, we were at Boscov's. I don't know if everywhere has a Boscov's. It's like a department store practically. And they had these sheet sets that were like $10. So what's nice about it is the fitted sheet I can still use on Hayes' bed. And the flat sheet I used for the backing for her quilt. So I have now stitched in the ditch, and what I did on this, I haven't cut the back of the sheet down. So every other row of my jelly roll, I just stitched in the ditch. So every other row. So if I turn this around, you can see it's just straight quilting. I didn't do anything fancy schmancy. And then in the middle of it, my machine decided it was just gonna stop. It said no. And I figured out from a YouTube video, thank you YouTube, how to fix that. I just have a very cheap Singer Simple machine that I bought probably more than 10 years ago, probably even more than 15 years ago. And the guy just was like, yeah, you take the bottom panel off and there's a screw and you just loosen it because it just somehow, I guess, tightens and you loosen it, and I was able to advance it and do, like, keep going. So yeah, so that's, now I just need to trim the edges all down. And like when I made Hazel's first one of these when she was a baby, it wasn't a jelly roll, it was like, I think it was already just pre-cut squares. I took the time and I hand stitched all the edging. Guess what I'm not doing? I'm just gonna fold it over and hem it down. That's what I'm gonna do. Terrible. But she is excited for this. It looks just like mine because one of the jelly rolls, I had bought two of this like purple pack, like with all these purple colors. And so I have one in my quilt that's on the couch, and then she has one now in hers. So they're kind of matching. I guess they're kind of like sister quilts. She liked the batik fabrics, so that's what she got. Well, I had them and she chose them out of the other fabrics I had. So let me show you guys the sweater. It might not look like a lot of progress, but it's a lot of progress because if you remember, this has been slow going for me because every other row is a knit purl row. So it's a lot. I have now today gotten to where I can start the ribbing, which of course now every row is going to be knit purl, but at least I am like nearing the finish line. And because this is called the Friday tee by PetiteKnit, because it is a tee, the sleeves aren't very long. So I'm not holding my breath, but yeah. Now let's find where I was and I can show you guys the last time I showed it on the podcast. So the last time I showed it was where that stitch marker is. Probably can't even see. Right here. And I did all that. Now it's straight this color, knit purl. So that's another thing is I won't have to be changing colors. So I feel like, not that that's hard, but I probably will be able to, I can just keep going around and around and around and around and around. So. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you're returning, you might already know that these are yarns that John dyed for me. This is done with black walnuts. I had to wind this one up last night, and John's sitting right here behind the camera. Walnut shells were still coming out of the yarn as I was putting it into a cake. So, you didn't wash this one very good, babes. Just saying.
What?
I mean, it was washed fine. It just still had... When you dyed this with the walnut shells, I think this batch that you did, you just dumped it all in. You didn't like have them in like a cheesecloth or a bag or anything. So there was walnut shell pieces in the yarn when I was caking it.
Thanks. How long ago was that?
A long time ago.
Okay.
When you wanted to do the whole natural dyeing thing, and then...
And you people wonder why I don't dye anymore. It's constant criticism over here.
Don't let him lie to you. That is not why he hasn't been dyeing. He was obsessed with pottery. He's still obsessed with pottery.
Right now I'm about to buy a 2-person pine hot tub with charcoal stove boiler.
No, he's not.
Uh-huh.
No. All right, so this is what I have. Also, we went to a friend's house who is moving, and so they were having a yard sale, and we're standing there and we bought some stuff. Oh, and I have like some jewelry. I've been doing all these little things. So I was like, I want to buy that table that they had stuff on. I was like, is it for sale? She's like, yeah. And I was like, sweet. So I bought this table, and it's perfect for my tufting frame. Back at Christmas time, John got me a tufting gun, a cut pile tufting gun, and I used it very little because once it got cold, I don't know, I was weird about doing it in the house. It makes a lot of like fibery mess. But this table fits it perfect, and this weekend was super nice. John was gardening, I was tufting, we were having a good time outside. So I am going to, after I finish here, I'm going to put in a video of me doing a little bit of tufting, and then maybe the next clip in a day or whenever I will talk a little bit and show you guys. It's not done. The tufting part is all done. Now it's all the finishing stuff, like fixing all the fibers so all the colors are together. And I'll show you guys a little video as I do that maybe. I haven't done that yet. And then you gotta glue it and cut it and do the whole thing and shave it. Yeah, so. What I was gonna say, I also bought some jewelry while we were there. Some just like costumey jewelry stuff. And I took a page from, oh my god, Kraken Made. Eden. Her name's Eden. She's in Canada. She has a podcast. Kraken Made is her company, and she also takes jewelry and upcycles it into stitch marker. So I was playing with that. I need to get some eye pins. I think that's what they're called. I don't have any. I had jump rings and stuff to do parts of it, but I didn't have eye pins, sorry, to do another part. So I'll show you guys that in another clip. But yeah, so I've been doing a little bit of everything. It's been a little crazy around here, I guess. We've been busy. So, all right, I'm gonna shut up now. Until the next clip, enjoy the Tufting Gun video, and I'll talk to you then. Okay, it is now Thursday, the 28th. I don't think I mentioned the date that I recorded that first clip, and I think that was on Tuesday, which would have been the 26th. I can't remember. But today's now Thursday. So, I finished Hazel's blanket, the Jelly Roll Race Quilt. I showed that just recently in the last clip that I put all the layers together. It was hasty and rushed and not perfect, but even if I took my time, it still probably wouldn't be perfect. I'm not great at sewing. I did have my machine. I told you guys that. I jammed it up and I fixed it. Can't remember sometimes what I tell you and what I don't tell you, what I've told maybe other people and I thought I told you. It's done though. So I ran out of purple thread and she chose blue, so the couple of the lines are in like a lavender thread, which you probably wouldn't even notice. So these ones are all in lavender, and then I ran out and it turned blue. So I should have rewatched the video on how to do corners, but again, I was being hasty and I didn't. And so the corners all look really terrible. Look at that. And I decided I just trimmed it down 1.5 inches off the edge of the front piece. So it was 1.5 inches. I folded it twice. So folded it in half, folded it again, and then sewed it down. I did 2 passes on each side just to make sure it's secured. I mean, from far away, you can't even tell, but I love it. Hazel's gonna love it. She's very excited. I told her when she got home from school today, because I was working on it before we went, logged in for work, and she went to school, and I had almost all of the sides secured down. All I had to do was the second pass on them. So that's done. Finished object. These were so much fun. You can get some really fun jelly rolls. So yeah, it's pretty big. Hey, John doesn't love these because they're not long enough to cover all the way, tucked under your feet and then all the way up. So these are more on the couch, but for Haze's size, they're perfect. So I'm gonna stand up and let it touch the floor. It's touching the floor and it's right under my chin. So when it's touching the floor, it's right there. And it's not quite the length of my arms. This way. Again though, I love mine. I use it all the time. I throw it in the washer and the dryer and it's fine. And for a quick little project, I was thinking of finding some fun fabric for one in the camper, but we have a ton of blankets in the camper just because we bought a few on our endeavors. So I really don't think we need more blankets in the camper. We don't need more blankets here in this house either, but here we are. I'm gonna take you guys downstairs where my tufting frame is, because I'm gonna work a little on, I guess it's hard to explain. I'll explain it when I'm down there and I'm showing you. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, so I told you guys I would be back today. I apologize for the ring light in my glasses, but need good eyeballs to see what I'm doing here. So if you aren't aware of what tufting is, I will do a little explanation. So I have a tufting gun, which forces, it's almost okay, it's similar to punch needle, if you know what punch needle is. If you don't know what punch needle is, then let me just explain. Sorry, taking my shoes off, getting more comfy. I have a gun that pushes yarn through the fabric. This is like monk's cloth. It pushes it through, and on the back side, all the threads are flush up with the fabric. Mine is a cut pile gun. You can get just regular tufting guns that don't cut the pile. The pile is what comes through on the other side. You can adjust the length of your yarn that comes through, so your pile is either taller or shorter. I haven't messed with that option. Sorry, let me take this gum out because that's just weird and gross. So, let me do that. I feel like I'm chewing in front of you and it's weird. So, when my machine pushes the yarn through onto this side, it cuts it, and then the gun, it just keeps doing that. I showed you guys the video before this, so you kind of have an idea, I guess. But, so now that I've done my hat, that I've had this in my head, now that I've done that, I need to go through and and kind of like rearrange some of the pile on this side so all my black lines are more defined. So what happened was when I did all the black line first, which I guess I wouldn't have had to technically, but I did, and then I filled it in with all this color. And when I did that, there's a few spots where the color may have overlapped on the black, and then it breaks up your lines. So I have some Cricut tools. This is my tweezers for my Cricut. This is the weeding tool for my Cricut, which looks like a dental thing. I also have I might try using for my sock machine, I have this tool, which has 2 different ends on it. So it has like a really little hook and then more like the dental hook on that side. And then I got an old pair of tweezers that aren't good for tweezing hair, like eyebrows anymore, but I keep them just in case, and it might be really good for this. So what I need to do is kind of rearrange the colors, not totally, but kind of move them back into place. So that's what I'm going to be working on, and I'm going to be doing that before I do any other prepping, like gluing the back, because I don't want to glue it if I need to pull out a few strands. Sometimes you need to actually just remove a piece of yarn, and so I don't want to glue it until I do that. And then I will glue it while it's still on this. You can see I also did a very wonky circle for a yin-yang, and can you see right here? That might be real hard to see, but there's the black outline, and then there's some white tufting, and then black tufting. I need to try to rearrange those because I definitely went over my black line. And even right here, you might not be able to see, there's a white piece that came into the black. So this is all just normal. I guess in time I will get better and I won't have to do so much of this. But if you want your piece to look real clean and refined, I feel like that this is a step that you shouldn't miss. This is also like one of the tips that I watched on some of the tufting people that I've followed on YouTube, and to make their stuff look really clean and wonderful, I see them doing this. So I'm gonna do that, and I'm just gonna turn around and you'll hear some music, and I'm gonna just play with getting this going. So all right, I am really happy with this. I was hoping it would be bigger, but this was this was all test fabric. So I kind of just drew the design on and was like, let's go for it. Let's do this. So it wasn't like, I think in the end I would want them bigger. So this might end up, I mean, you can see this is my hand. This wouldn't actually be like really rug size, but it could be wall hanging size. And in all honesty, I would be really happy if I was able to display this on my wall as my first piece. So, all right, now I'm going to stop talking. Okay, everybody, it's time to wrap up this video. I'm a little late. It is Sunday, May 1st. I normally post on Saturday. Yesterday was a very busy day though, and at the end of this video will be clips of our day. We ended up going to, it's called the Fairy Fest, and it's kind of like the Renaissance Festival for kids. It's held at our local nature center, Marshy Point Nature Center, and we love that nature center. It's one of our favorite places to go. If it's raining, we'll put on rain boots and just go hiking out and getting all like jumping in puddles. It's so much fun. So they held it this year. It was open. It opened back up this year to, because of the sickness. I also think it used to be held somewhere else, like at a farm somewhere, but now Marshy Point is hosting it. So it was all day Saturday, Sunday, like 10 to 5 or something like that, 9 to 5. And the tickets were $20 for adults, $5 for kids. They had so much to do, so much. What was really interesting, and I wish I would have gotten a little more footage and also talked to the lady, but I didn't. It was busy. Hazel was excited. Her friends were there. It was crazy. They had a maypole, and I really wish that we would have done the maypole and, danced around with the ribbon, but we didn't do that. We were just busy. We were going to see, there was a magician type guy, and he, sleight of hand type stuff. So we saw him. He blew these giant bubbles. Fairies everywhere. And then vendors. I didn't get any food. The only food we got was a snowball. But they had food, all kinds of food. It looked really good. We did buy a bottle of wine, which we drank through the festival, which was nice for the adults. It was also kind of funny because there were quite a bit of adults there dressed up, no kids, or they were dressed up and their kids were like, no mom, we're not doing this. And so it was kind of, interesting. It was definitely like a Renaissance fair, but for kids, based on fairies and goblins and ogres and all that stuff. But it was also a lot of learning. They did a lot of learning. And there was booths where you could go and have storytellers, and then there was drum circles, and it was awesome. John was really apprehensive. He's like, I don't really know if I want to go. And I think he had more fun than I did. He ended up buying pottery. We ended up buying fairy doors. We ended up buying fairy wands. We ended up buying all kinds of stuff. So these little fairy doors are super cute. They're this big and they're magnetic, and it opens up to fairyland. Also, Hazel ended up getting it's a fairy wand, and it's glass. It has a bubble in it, and it's hollow at the top, not at the bottom, at the top. And you can get dusted with, oh my god, we had glitter everywhere. I took a shower this morning though, and I think I'm good. But you could go to the booth and they sold the fairy ears and the all kinds of cool stuff. And the ladies there were like, would you like to get fairy dusted? And so she's like, hold your arms out and you get fairy dusted. And all the booths, they had little trinkets for the kids, little gems that they could collect because, fairies like shiny things, and so do a lot of mythical creatures. And so you could go to other booths and you could trade them. So it was really, really, really awesome. Hazel was like, this is the best day ever. And we had a great time. We also got some ceramic mushrooms that are in our garden. They're pretty big. The biggest one we have is like this. And we got John got 4 of those, and they're out in our garden. Sorry, Mia's apparently gonna visit today. But yeah, so I don't have much more to show you knitting wise or yarny wise. The video after this though, they did one of the booths that were really interesting. There was a whole area with animals, because the nature center does have some animals. But outside there was a guy with a big tortoise, and the guy with bees, and he found the queen bee while we were standing there. He saw the queen bee and he showed us the queen bee. There was clay demonstrations, and you could they were baking bread out in the pizza ovens. It was just so cool. Okay, so the one booth, the lady had yarn. I didn't end up going into the booth because I got distracted, pulled away, whatever. But I did go in the one area that they were showing sheep to finished object. So they had fleece that you could touch, like a sheared fleece. They showed you how they skirted the fleece. They also had all the different tools for prepping and spinning yarn, like carding and doing that. And then there was a section where the kids could feel the fibers, and they had all these little animals that you could then try to guess which animal it came from. Hazel did really good at that. I was really proud of her. They had a place where you could try drop spindling. They had little looms set up and little weaving looms, like pot holder looms and weaving looms that the kids could like play with and just try out. And then they actually had on display some rigid heddle looms, not big ones like tabletop ones, and you could actually like do it. So I was like the only one in there for a little bit, like a couple minutes, and I was like talking to the girl and I was drop spindling, and then people started coming in and people were like, oh look, she's making, you know, and I'm like, I'm spinning yarn, and they were just like, it was pretty neat. So I wasn't part of the display, but it was interesting that I could do that, and then I could actually tell people what I was doing. So that was cool. But there's a clip kind of that booth. It's not the greatest. It was just so many costumes, so many people, and actually it wasn't so many people. I should say that. It was not as crowded as I thought it was going to be. I was very shocked that it wasn't more people. So we had a great time. They had like pigs and goats wearing fairy wings, and the pig was called Piggy Stardust, and I loved that. And they had like pony rides, and they also had people with like their Irish wolfhounds. I actually got to meet a doggy whose name was Lucky, and he was a cholo, which is the XOLO, the Mexican hairless dogs. Most people know them. I'll insert a picture here of Lucky. He was so cute. He, like, I think most people are very just fascinated. So the owner was like, we get so many people stopping us. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. But they were like just sitting and doing nothing. So I like went and sat next to the dog and pet the dog and, you know, got on his level. And he was just the sweetest. And I'm so glad that I got to like see one in person, because I definitely have never seen one in person. And yeah, that was really interesting. So I only have my sweater to show you. So I'm going to show you what I've done. And it's not much. And I need to like really chug along on this, because I really would love to have it done. I just don't see it happening. I do have a bottom hem. It's an Italian bind-off, which when I Googled Italian bind-off, it kept giving me the sewn bind-off. And I was a little worried, but then I Googled, is the sewn bind-off the same as the Italian? And they said it was like a positive yes. And so I did bind off the bottom of my sweater. So the last time you guys saw it, I was like right here. So it did pool, which I didn't notice so much of the pooling when I had the blue in it. But I bound it off, and yeah, I haven't tried it on with it bound off, but I probably should. But now I have needles in the sleeve, and I have started that. So here is where my waist yarn is. It's probably hard to see. And I'm getting ready to do the second blue stripe, which if I measured right, I need about 7 blue stripes. I'm going to be chugging on this today. It is now raining. We've done all of our cleaning. We planted plants. We've done stuff. So I'm going to be working on this tonight and really trying to get through it. I really, really need to get through it. So you guys saw me clipping this, and it was really probably hard to see what I was doing, and I apologize. But essentially, I'm just trying to put the right colors, fibers in the right place to make the image look better. But it also is going to get shaved. So once I shave it, it's probably going to be a lot more defined looking. So since then, I did try to fix this one up. My circle is just not great. And this was just practicing anyway, and I didn't actually take like a good circle template. I just hand drew a circle, which unless you're really great at hand drawing circles, it's not the easiest thing to do. So, and then I made an olive with a pimento, and I'm really excited about shaving this down. I am really loving using, because you have to use 2 strands of yarn in your gun, and I am loving using like marling the yarn. That's been what I really love. So in this, I marled a lot of yarn. Like around here is 2 dark strands, and then in here I was marling it with a lighter and this same dark, and then I went to like another color and marled that over here, and then I did the glare here, like, you know, like the illustrated looking glare right here with a even lighter yarn, and I really have enjoyed doing that. So I also, this one's harder to see, it's a UFO. Can you see it? The lighting is not great because it's raining and we have overhead lighting on. But I did some lighter whites in here, which you probably really can't see in person. And I did marl some different grays in and outlined it with like a dark gray. And then I did like the little rivety windows or whatever in black. So I'm really excited about doing more and different things. John and I were brainstorming objects that were small, because I had just a few spaces that I wanted to fill up on this before I cut it, because once you cut your objects out, you can't put this back on the frame. So you use all your space the best to your ability. That way you're not losing fabric. Like I technically could probably fit something very small here. I don't know if I'm going to, because I want to get this cut off and shave them. So since this was a test fabric anyway, not a test fabric, it's good fabric. This was just me learning on the machine. I'm not real upset. Like that top piece is totally coming off. It's you probably can't even see that in the frame, but let me turn this back. But olives. That might be my screenshot. I don't know. So other than that, Sheep and Wool is next weekend. Maryland Sheep and Wool. Very excited. I know there is a bunch of podcasters who have been talking about doing a meetup near the sheep shearing demonstration area. So if you look at the map and you see where the sheep shearing demo is, there's a big grassy area with a hill. That's where we kind of set up camp. We will have like a little, you know, those beach soccer tents. We're going to have one of those. We always bring something to shield us from sun if we need to, and have a place to just gather and eat and show everybody what we bought. So that's always what we've done. We're going to do it again this year. So we'll kind of have camp set up there. And I think 2 o'clock in that area is going to be the podcaster meetup. So it's going to be really cool seeing people again in person. And please, please, please say hi. I'm really terrible with matching faces and names. And sometimes I like social media names more than I know real names. So just, you know, if I'm like, what's your name? I'm really apologize that, you know, I'm really bad at it. I'm really bad at it. I try so hard, but yeah. But if you have a chance to come by and say hi, it would be nice to meet everybody. And that's all I really have for you for this week. I know it was a lot of like video with background music, and after this I'm going to put all the fairy festival footage that I have, which really isn't a whole lot, but I have some. And yeah, other than that, I think I've already said that now. We have been watching on HBO a docu-series about the McDonald's Monopoly game. Do you remember that? Do you remember you would get like a large fry, or you could get like a soda and it had the little peel off stickers, and it was like you were either A, an instant winner, or B, it was a property, and you had to fill out your game board and you could win stuff and blah, 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 blah. Well, I mean, I remember getting those. I remember like being so excited to get like an instant winner and being like, I got a free hash brown. Like, that was exciting. It was exciting. But if you think about it, they haven't had that game in a while. There was some background bull hockey going on, and that's what this documentary is about. They're talking about how essentially it was hacked or rigged or whatever. We haven't finished it yet, so I don't know exactly how it all went down. But if you think of, like, they talk about the printing company, and they talk about how they'd have people that were at the printing companies that printed these things, and there's always like all these security checkpoint type deals for like the big winning tickets. But if you think about it, they're the same kind of printing companies that print like lotto tickets, like scratchers. So I never thought about the background of even lotto scratchers, like scratch off tickets, and how that could be hacked. Like that could be not so much hacked. That could be somebody could like infiltrate the system and steal the big winners. Like how? I never thought about any of that stuff. And now my brain just races when we're watching the show. And it's like, man, they have to have all this crazy security at these companies that strictly print these types of things. Like, there's tons of companies that do like scratch-offy type stuff. Now, I don't know if some of those are done at these super secure type printing places, but like you could go, like some stores will have like scratchers where you can get, oh, I get 10% off today, and you present your scratch off and you scratch it and it's like a percentage off your total, right? I just never thought about the companies that do all that, and now I just can't stop. And I'm excited. We fell asleep last night watching the episode. We were so tired. That fairy festival wore us out. But oh God, it was just so cool. They had stuff hanging in the trees and mirrors and like frames. And so if there's a place near you that does a fairy festival, you should definitely check it out. Even if you're an adult, because it was fun. We had a lot of fun. Okay, I'm gonna stop now. I've been rambling for 17 minutes. I need to edit this and get this up. I apologize again for it being a day late, but sometimes life just takes over, and we were having a good time, and I wasn't gonna cram in a video late last night trying to get this up. So I hope everybody's well. I hope you're taking care of yourselves. I hope you're knitting or crafting all the things that you want to. And I'll talk to you in the next episode. Knit happy, everybody. Bye.
Right, baby, put the head back on, right? Yes? And the crowd goes wild!
Woo! Go ahead, Hayes. One rope, one piece.
Rope. Yes.
All right, one rope.
Right. You gotta be tactical, right? Here we go. Biggest magician right here. Watch. Maybe static.